Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's just a couple days away from St. Patty's Day, so hanging out here, chilling like a villain with, like, Lucky Charms.
She's magically delicious.
Whoa. I was waiting for somebody to do it.
Might be lucky.
Yeah.
So tell us who you are.
Martha May Kashadi,
How can we find you?
Facebook, and then I'm going to be on Mike Lindell's new app, Vocal.
Whoa, a little plug
big
in
time.
there.
But my daughter made the earrings, made by Maze.
Who-
They are lucky.
Who else is to my left?
Craig Buglen. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Perfect. And then to my right.
Lisa Lingle. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And Harmony Sage. You can find me on Facebook.
Hey, and we're going to talk about Governor Cuomo, groping allegations. It's multiple sclerosis. Woo!
That's a
Can't
tongue
say it
twister, right?
when you're on. When you're on camera, you can't say it. We're going to talk about zombies. The CDC is talking about zombies. Like literally, they're telling us how to prepare for what is coming with the zombie apocalypse. And what is this? Unilever removes the word normal, right? And that's obviously a big company, and they have a lot of different products we're going to talk about. And then how COVID-19 has impacted the travel industry and what that does to the tourism, really, frankly, around the world. So let's dig into Governor Cuomo. So this is out of Albany, New York. A lawyer for Governor Andrew Cuomo said she has reported a groping allegation made against him to local police after the woman involved declined to press charges herself. The Times-Union of Albany reported Wednesday that an unidentified aide had claimed Cuomo reached under her shirt and fondled her after summoning her to his official residence. Cuomo said that he never touched anyone. I believe they mean inappropriately. I think this is a typo. They said he never touched anyone appropriately.
Maybe it's not a typo.
Maybe not. Yeah, there you go. A good point.
Wow.
And another one.
Anyway, believe the news. Believe the news.
So Beth
No more
Garvey,
fake
the
news.
governor's acting counsel, said in a statement Thursday that as a matter of state policy, the woman who made the allegations was told she should contact her local police department. She said she phoned police herself when the woman declined through her lawyer to make a formal complaint. And talks about also there's nearly 60 Democratic lawmakers are demanding his resignation in the wake of these allegations. Woo! Andrew Cuomo, I think he just likes to be in the spotlight.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just like the person he hates so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tough one because you want to presume that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But he's got quite a laundry list working.
Yeah.
And when his own party is turning on him, like he hasn't had a couple good months with things coming out about COVID and nursing homes and falsifying numbers. And then this, it's like he's got a really big target on his back right now, and they're chasing him pretty hard.
You know it's bad when even AOC wants him removed. So that's not off the press this morning.
I just want to say AOC, though, she blows a lot of steam.
Right.
And she talked about Nancy Pelosi and that she wasn't going to vote for Nancy Pelosi to get in as speaker, and then she goes and votes for her anyway. And so AOC, I'm not going to really trust a dang thing she says because she's all over the board. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, but she's
not your benchmark.
No, she doesn't know what she believes.
So there's
it changes
6 women
all the
that
time.
have come up with allegations now, and they are allegations. They said it's going to take months before there's a formal investigation completed. They don't want it to be, a lot of the women's rights groups don't want it to be politically motivated or politically tied with any of that. Obviously, he's in the spotlight because of the nursing home allegations, and everything that happened with the nursing homes. But what the news is really covering now, so the nursing home information and deaths and people wanting him impeached and lose his position as governor of that. Now it's this whole accusations of assault and everything.
So let me ask you, three ladies, is this a worse charge than the killing of, we're up to around 15,000 people that have
No.
died in nursing homes? Is this worse than that?
No.
So Martha May, that's your opinion. Lisa?
I would say no. Nope.
I would say
So
no.
3 women out of 3 women here reading this and knowing some of these other stories, why are they covering this so hard and not the death of 15,000 people?
Because he wrote a book, because he looked like he was the savior.
And won an Emmy?
Yeah. And he wrote the rules on saving COVID and everything like that in his state. And the news doesn't want to cover the truth.
So didn't he come out and talk about someone else that had allegations on the Republican side of things a while back? Does anybody remember that?
The justice that was trying to get sworn in.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, Clarence Thomas?
No, Amy.
Kavanaugh.
Oh, yeah.
Kavanaugh.
Oh,
Hard
that's
on
who it
Kavanaugh.
was. Yeah.
That's
right.
why this story brought interest to me, because I really got tied into Kavanaugh's hearings a couple years ago, and his affiliation with that. Yeah, don't believe those. Believe those women. Believe those women, along with all the other feminist groups.
Yeah.
Believe those women. Believe those women. And now there are women's groups. I looked it up. There are women's groups, actively involved with pursuing everything against him or helping bring all of this to light. But just the conflict of, okay, like you said, the nursing home deaths is just as of importance.
Because he was, his staff told him not to put these COVID patients in the nursing homes, right?
Yep.
And they had the ship that was there.
Yep.
They had, what center was in New York also?
Was it Madison Square Garden?
There was, I'm not sure if it was that, but there was one of the centers that was opened up also for COVID patients.
I think
And
John Hopkins, wasn't it? John Hopkins?
oh, that's
It's in Baltimore.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So in New York itself, there was like a stadium or some big venue that was opened up for COVID patients. That had like literally less than 30% capacity. The ship had like 1 person, and his staff advised him not to send them to the nursing homes, and yet he did it. All these deaths, I don't know. There's something weird going on here. What did he do to really tick off his party?
He-
What's going on? That's they're
not being
yeah.
that's not being written about, or that's the feeling, the vibe I'm getting. I feel like there's something more that we don't know, or maybe we can all make assumptions, but that's what I felt with it. And that he sort of I don't know, I feel weird even saying this. It feels like he's a little bit of a target, but I mean, at the same time, I don't want to take away from these women who felt violated.
No, I wanted to make sure that was clear too. I don't either, but I think my point more to be clear is I think that it should all be connected, right? Like, let's just go after this guy.
Yeah.
He's done all these terrible things.
Yeah.
Why are it's
Focusing
all
on one.
should be involved in the
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah.
His hands are dirty with the nursing homes and COVID, and he didn't listen to his advisors in his party, and this is his retribution. I don't know. It's bad what he did. I mean, I don't think anybody can deny that.
Right.
No.
Again, accountability, right?
Accountability,
Just
yes.
come out. I mean, if you did it, say you did it.
walk away.
He seems to be fighting it. That's what I'm seeing. He seems to be saying, "Hey, this didn't happen." So, I think there's more yet to be seen and heard.
One of the last gals, I don't know if it was the 6th one now, but she said what made her come forward was she was watching his press conference, and he literally was talking about, "I've never done anything, blah, blah." And that was when she broke down in tears, and it happened to her herself. And that's when she decided to come forward. That whole, it's in your face, but he won't acknowledge as an abuser that it happened, kind of thing.
And sometimes I wonder, if I may say, I wonder if certain individuals that are being accused, if they have their own mind of crossing a line, maybe this, again, I'm assuming, and maybe to him this isn't considered sexual assault, or you know what I mean? Maybe it's so mild in comparison. I don't know. We shouldn't be doing that. We should, if somebody's reaching underneath somebody's top and, anything, that's violation. But sometimes I wonder about those individuals. No, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. There was no penetration, kind of getting in details, but what is this fine line that people seem to think that it's okay and it's not okay?
I don't know of a guy, like, I don't want to hang out with somebody that thinks it's appropriate to put your hand under somebody else's shirt or skirt. Like, that's not a
Right.
lack of parenting. That's a lack of being a good person. I don't know how anybody can think that that's right,
Right.
in your mind. It's completely inappropriate.
And, you know, sometimes we often hear that they try to back it up that it was consensual, this or that. Well, like, what makes it consensual? You asked and they said yes? Like, what in your mind gave you the idea or you thought you had permission to do so? So those are things that I often think about, too.
And why? These are your
Right.
your quote underlings. These are your staff.
Yes.
That right there,
Right.
that's
Always. I'm like,
that's
what
not
is going on?
appropriate.
Yeah.
So
You know what I found? The title of the news story was dozens of Democrats, but literally in the article they say nearly 60, this was a couple days ago, and now it's over 60. But dozens is not 60; that's 5 dozen. So even how they're misleading with the top of the article, the title. I guess it doesn't say that on there, but
Yeah,
it said dozens.
it did say it in
dozens
a
of
different
Democrats,
article
Dozens
that
of
I
Democrats.
read,
So that
yeah.
leads you to believe, like, a few, a handful or two plus, and then once you get into the article, it says 60, 60 at the time. So, you know, how misleading even that is for trying to downplay everything against him personally. And look at now even the nursing home information, how much it's come out. Look at now even the difference from what New York had to even what Minnesota's with Governor Walz, that our numbers in Minnesota are even higher than what New York had for numbers in the nursing home deaths and how they've covered those up too.
I hadn't read that anywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's more than 15,000 people in nursing homes that have.
For the percentage, yeah, in Minnesota that have
So
died.
you're talking
Percentage.
Percentage, yeah. Yeah.
Not total number,
that
but
have
a
died, yeah.
percentage.
Yeah.
I see. I guess what I'm confused by is I know that a lot of Democrats had suggested, you know, people should step down for lesser and, you know, step down, resign, you know, rerun or whatever like that later if you're found not guilty, but focus on this type of a thing. Why is that not happening within their own party?
Correct.
There's a lot of things here, I guess.
Correct.
And my thought too was my bad for not knowing the background with Al Franken stepping down, and how many accusers did Al Franken have that caused him to step down? Is it 6? Is it less? Is it more? It shouldn't
Right.
matter the
It
numbers,
shouldn't
but
matter the number, right.
but he stepped down. He did what I think most people feel is the right thing. So come on, Andrew,
Right.
get to it and just
In my
Be done.
experience of, you know, following a lot of these kind of articles is that it always seems like more come forward. So I feel like that we
Exactly.
still have another week or two of interesting information of whom may or may not come forward because, you know, there's this thing when one comes forward that feels that they were a victim of this. It seems like more always come out of the woodwork, you know,
Comfort,
feeling
yeah.
Courage.
comfortable courage of like, well, they felt brave enough to speak out. So I think there's more information.
And
to
there
be
might be
heard.
many out there that don't come forward that it could have happened to, too. You know.
right.
And that's pretty likely. So then the question becomes like he's standing firm and he's saying that, you know, I'm not going to resign, this kind of stuff. So
Bless you.
what is it that did he feel there was consent? I mean, he's not really saying that, but is that where I don't know. What's he thinking?
Right. I think that, you know, we have questions.
Bless you.
Bless you. Right.
Get it out. Craig.
You gotta get it out. What I'm thinking,
Jackie's here chilling on the couch. You allergic
Hi,
to her? or-
Jackie.
No.
I think that there's more questions. He is standing strong and firm. So, you know, we have to ask ourselves, you know, is he innocent?
We do have to ask that for sure because you're not guilty until, you know, it's proven. But clearly there's a lot going on with this guy, though, is really the point. But, I mean, I don't know.
In the hashtag Me Too, you know
Yeah.
that it's coming back again.
It's coming back again.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yep.
You know, they were holding other people's feet to the fire. If you're going to take that stance, better put
Yeah,
his
there's
feet in
no
the fire.
congruency here.
I mean, that's why I
It's
brought
just-
up the Kavanaugh hearings, even
Right,
President Trump,
absolutely.
you know, I mean, how they're all over that and everything. You know, a lot of feminist women's rights groups were, you know, to the top.
They're ready
for
to
that
ready to
and
burn them at
everything.
stake.
Yeah, and that was found not true compared to all the allegations that are here, plus his already pre-existing, judgments with the nursing home decisions too. So,
But you brought up the point of what did he do to? Who did he piss off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they
Still
are
thinking that.
gunning for him,
Yeah.
and
They're
deserved or
gunning
not,
for him.
deserved or not, whatever. But
Yeah.
he's got a big target on his back right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I always think of like the dirty political world, the things
It's
that we
horrible.
don't hear or see. It's happening, and I just feel like that. When you get into it, these are things that so you better behave. That's what I'm getting. You better behave because
Integrity.
this stuff comes out,
Right.
Yeah.
You should
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
right? Like
And-
that's just the right thing to do.
Like
but-
Mayor De Blasio of New York even is saying, he needs to resign, and De Blasio.
not an altar boy.
I'm thinking Cuomo might have something on De Blasio too.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll all
they-
stay
it's
tuned.
shark eat shark.
It really is. That's what it looks like to me. So
I feel like it's like a reality show, like the Real Housewives of Politics or something. Like there is so much more there
Yeah.
than
And we'll never know it. We'll never hear about it. It's
yeah.
it's a dirty, dirty, dirty world, and it's not just national. It's all politics.
Well, I
It's-
also don't think this is the last we've heard from Cuomo, so I could definitely see another book in his future. So we'll see.
oh, I'm sure, right?
from
Bestseller.
prison even. Never know. So the CDC offers tips to survive a zombie apocalypse. Because why not? Somebody sent me this, not this particular article, but actually that, this is a real thing on the CDC website. I started reading a bunch about it, and it's like, this is a really long article, but talks about the CDC decided to scare the world a little bit more this year by making sure that we know what to do whenever there's a zombie apocalypse. And it talks about, how Nostradamus in the 16th century predicted some things in 2021, and it's really interesting how his prediction reads few young people half dead to give a start. I mean, okay,
integrity of an organization is going down the tube.
it's like this is
Come on.
right. This is not specific at all.
So what I'm going to say
Women
is,
in mourning. I mean, that happens all the time. I don't know. It's like, why? How do they pull this?
If you want people to believe you, don't be putting out stuff like this. Like, you're supposed to be
Credible.
the credible medical
And the CDC.
group of our country, and you're talking about a zombie apocalypse. Like, get out of the movie theater. Will Smith would be like, it was just a movie.
Yeah.
Come on.
It was a good
and
movie.
actually,
Yeah, it
all
was.
my,
It was a
all
great
my
movie.
Dane
theorists,
vaccines.
all my theorist prepper friends are already ready, according to all this. According to everything
So,
like this.
yeah,
and
and
the directions that the Minneapolis utilities gave to all their residents regarding all the trial right now, and to be prepared, have 3 days of food, shelter, guard your property, everything you need. What Minneapolis gave for their residents, it's all the same thing. So it's not any different than what people have to do for anything else, or tornado, or riots, or anything like that, really.
I agree. And that was the saving grace of this whole thing. Like, they're trying, they say this tongue in cheek that they did it for, I think they really did it more for publicity or whatever they want to, however they want to spin it. But to me, it's like, why? Okay, you have a government organization that has to do and pull something like this using whose money?
Our money.
Money.
Our money.
I'm
For
sorry.
funny
that-
haha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the reality is the people that believe the CDC, they're scared. Zombie apocalypse is going to happen.
And that's why they're wearing 2 masks.
Exactly. So you just keep going down.
Right.
You just keep
Well-
going down and you keep going down. But quite frankly, some of the things that I've read, I don't trust almost anything the CDC says anymore.
See.
And this is just another nail in that coffin to me.
It's not helping their cause of credibility.
No.
I don't know. I'm in the middle with this. I'm kind of like, I think it's kind of brilliant because they're sort of insulting us a little bit, but at the same time, they realize that half of this population probably believes that this may occur. So they're sort of playing on that. But at the same time,
what is that? What are they playing on? That's fear.
They're playing on fear, which
And
again,
should
why I'm in the
anybody
middle
ever do
with
that?
it.
No.
But the fact of the matter is, there are people out there that are fearful of this. There are people out there that are building bunkers. There are people that are hoarding food and water. But again, and here's my thing.
Okay. I'm going to pause you again.
Okay.
Why are they building bunkers and hoarding things? Because of fear.
Because of fear.
Because they're driving
Media.
the fear.
Don't trust
Media
our
is
government.
there. So the interesting thing that when I read this article and they brought up Nostradamus and stuff like that, the only thing that I was annoyed about, because I followed a lot of Nostradamus stuff, is that this stuff's already occurring, has been occurring. So, for example, when they're like famine's going to hit, I'm like, we have third world countries for years that have been dealing with famine. Zombie like behavior. We have drugs such as bath salts and methamphetamine that changed people's behaviors, and we have proof that from stories years ago of somebody high off bath salts, attacking a homeless person, eating off his face. Those are very zombie-like, tendencies for me. And what I think about is when you go back, if you were to believe Nostradamus and his predictions, if you're in the 15th century and you are foreseeing this stuff, you are not going to necessarily understand it. This is not stuff of your time. So let's say, for example, that you're foreseeing this zombie-like, attitude and stuff like that. You're not going to understand. You don't have those drugs of your days. You're not understanding why people are reacting the way they are. So my point being is this stuff's been occurring already. So you don't need a psychic or somebody to bring your attention to it. You just need to realize that this shit's been going on. Excuse me with that word. I'm so sorry.
The ship.
The ship has been going on,
Oh, my
and
gosh,
it's just like we need to recognize that it's already here.
Yes, and I think so. They are now. So, what is science, right? Science is continually discovering new things, and DMT. Our brains produce DMT. It's very low levels. They found that out, and so DMT is a wild trip. I understand. I've never done anything like that, but our brains literally produce that. Now, what if his brain was doing that, or other people's brains were doing that back in the 16th century as an overproduction, as a whatever, and he's tripping. There's all kinds of things. See, we don't know. We can't talk to him. They didn't have the science back then. So back then they're calling this like these predictions, but it might have been a wild trip.
Might have had a lot of wacky plants back then. I mean, I don't know. That's a really good point. It's really good point.
I mean, mushrooms.
Some
have
of
been
our,
around
here's
forever.
some
my
of our
only
best
issue.
music has been made by tripping artists.
So
Yeah,
my only
I
thing, so would you say then it's been just quite the coincidences then of things that, or do you think that people just take his quatrains, if we're going with Nostradamus, and just make them to make them relevant of modern day?
I think it's really
occurrences?
fun to do that.
Yeah.
And you all know I have a ton of movies. I love entertainment, and I love all kinds of different. The Walking Dead. I mean, hello. I love that kind of stuff because it's super entertaining. So I think that you can take the entertainment value of that. I mean, and in an exalted place, some great evils to occur. I mean, you can take all of these things and you can apply that to just about anything, anywhere.
Right.
If you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
We're human and we haven't really changed since the 16th century. We continue to do stupid things to each other. We hurt each other. We have governors that are doing things that they shouldn't do and saying that they're not doing it, and maybe they're not. So the point being is we're no different. Our technology's different, but we're not.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. So he could have put this year out there, and it could apply to anything, anywhere, anytime.
Right.
If you are looking for it, you'll find it.
Absolutely.
Anything.
That is confirmation bias.
And what I will say is just just kind of thinking, if Nostradamus really did see these things, how scared he must have been to fast forward that many years and to be like, holy moly, this is going to occur. Again, we could go back. He predicted the Twin Towers. He Adolf Hitler, this and that. I mean, what a scary vision. I would just think that, living in the world that you're already living in, or the century you're living in, and you're fast forwarding 200, 300, 400 years and you see this. That's scary to me. That means you would think that over time that things would get better, right? You learn from your mistakes. But I would imagine for him and his visions, like, wow.
Note to self: don't take his drugs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about Nostradamus or the quatrains or whatever, but I've read and seen a few different things on it in the past, and it's pretty interesting. And I'm not sure how accurate he predicted some of these things, and obviously it was what language was it in, and French, right? Yeah, and so they wrote things differently back then too.
And the reason why they were written the way they were written is because of persecution.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing back then. I mean, it was easily to write the wrong thing, and then I forgot how they persecuted you back then, but it wasn't the most pleasant way. You're not going just to jail.
The guillotine
So,
or the gallows or
beheadings,
whatever.
Yeah, it was
gallows
pretty,
and,
so from my understanding of how he wrote the quatrains was because of that. But at the same time, because I love all this stuff, but it was so vague. It was so vague. And again, it allows your brain to it leaves room for argument, and there's just not enough there, but I still find it fascinating.
Do you remember there was a TV show a while back on Sci-Fi, I believe, that there was really... They wrote the story about around Nostradamus's quatrains. Do you remember that at all?
I've watched quite a few of them. I don't know if it's the one you're speaking of.
I will have to look that up. It was
I just find it
entertaining.
interesting.
I saw a few episodes.
And some people think it's cool. Some people think it's fake.
Can you scroll up to the top of the article?
Yeah.
There was one line that I thought was the best line. Oh wait.
So this is the...
So it says, because 2020 was an absolute, can I say that? SHIT show.
Crap show.
You can say that.
And 2021,
Just not what Harmony said.
And 2021 is unfortunately shaping up to be just like it. And it truly is going to be worse. I mean, look at where we're at.
It does freak you out, though. It definitely
January 20th
promotes fear. It's like, okay, so this is going to be even worse than last year. So hoarded your toilet paper and this and that. It just, I don't know, creates unnecessary fear.
That's exactly the point for me. It creates unnecessary fear on something like this, right?
Maybe this will be the year of, bunkers. And, we talked about that before. There was what was it? World War, which one? Two, where, that was a common thing. They they were fearful. They build bunkers, this and that. Maybe it'll come up again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like every day you turn on the news, you turn on something, there's always something right now. And
The
this
sky
to
is
see
falling.
the sky is falling. To see the CDC saying this was just crazy.
It is.
They're not helping the cause.
No, I love the preparedness. Like you said, we should be prepared for anything. This was nothing
Always.
new. And, if 2020 maybe brought awareness to more people that weren't prepared for that, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But I think to go with the zombie part of it, it's a little goofy myself.
On taxpayer dollars.
How much did this study
Right.
cost?
Yeah.
How much did this cost?
I
They're
can't
not telling
even.
the zombie
They
to
would
wear a mask
never,
now, are they?
ever.
Huh? They're not telling the zombies
They're
to wear masks,
already
are they?
dead.
Well,
I don't know.
or 2 masks, or 3, or 3.
And what qualifies to be a zombie? Like,
And that's in.
That's a
like,
great
have you ever
question.
thought about that? Like, what makes you a zombie?
I wonder if that after this last year they want to make us into zombies. Like they want us to just follow along.
Speech
and
last
do what
night.
they
I feel like
say.
it's
Speech
a bit
last
of a-
night.
a
The speech
metaphor.
last night.
I
The speech
know.
last night.
What was the speech last night?
Exactly.
President Biden's speech on
Yeah.
COVID.
Oh, I missed
yeah.
Yeah, you did.
So did I. But
I
that's
did
what the
watch
speech
it.
was about last night.
It was a zombie, yeah.
it. Yeah, right. Well, a
Robots,
puppet anyway.
zombies. I don't know.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's just like you could go down these weird paths, and I think that sometimes for me too, it's like they do this as a I say sleight of hand all the time, and so it's like, oh, zombie apocalypse over here. Now what are they doing over here, right? And to me, that's kind of what 2020 was about. Is like, wear the mask. We're gonna all die. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very skeptical. Like anyway, in this last year, has really triggered that a lot more because I've seen things. Look at Antifa again last night, breaking into banks in Portland.
Yep.
I've literally been there and driven by where they've rioted and how terrible it is. And there are people that I have looked in the eyeballs that live near Portland, like just out on the edge. Oh, no, that doesn't happen. That's not real. I'm like, I've been there. And then you get into the next lift or you're at the airport and you talk to somebody and they're like, it's terrible. We're trying to get out of here. You know, so people just, I don't understand it. Like they're literally so blind to fires and destruction. Whew.
Sad.
So my skeptical mind is on fire when I see stuff like that. Minneapolis, poor guy, this last weekend, in his 30s, shot and killed. George Floyd zone.
The autonomous zone, yeah.
They had to drag him out so that police and everybody could get at him, get him to the hospital. They wouldn't even let the police or anybody in, and he died. And probably would have died anyway, but that's not the point. This stuff is happening, and people are like, "Oh no, it's not." And so that's why this kind of stuff kind of fires me up, because there's something more going on here. I think with trying to just make people so afraid.
Smoke screen.
I really think so. I don't know. That's people are going to say conspiracy, but yet we're the ones sitting here without masks on and having a good conversation.
A year later, having a good time.
And looking at, looking at our, I'm kind of going on a rant. I get it. But, we look at the overall death rate of 2020 in the United States. It's not higher. We're looking at numbers like heart disease death is down. It's a 30-year low. Right. Did people stop smoking? Did they, are they not, I mean, what? Come on.
It's all
cancer
COVID-related.
numbers.
Flu deaths are down.
Way down. Flu deaths don't even exist.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it makes you wonder, too, they talk about Hollywood being kind of a predictor of what happens in our country. And what we're going through right now, it's
do you think that
the
Hollywood's not
vaccine,
involved?
and I'm not
involved,
saying
though?
the vaccine
I
is going
think
to
they're
cause
like
this. Yeah, but like
with some of this propaganda stuff.
Right.
I really...
and I Am Legend is kind of a perfect example of, is that the road we're going down? And no, I don't think the vaccines are going to turn us into zombies. I hope not, because my wife has it. But, of course, last week. But it's just interesting, like, over and over and over again. But then again, if you look for it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So, who's to say?
Yeah, you see what you want to see
You
sometimes.
see what you want to see.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Glasses.
Yep. I will say we have a bomb shelter in our house, so if something does happen, you guys can come on.
Built in the late 40s or 50s, I'm
56,
guessing. There we go.
1956.
From the
A
podcast
true
from her bomb shelter.
Yes.
But Matt, you have extra gas at your house because the time I ran out of gas.
Yeah.
So we all know you not enough gas to fill up everything. I get a
I'm pretty prepared, and I wouldn't say I've always been that way, but for a very long time, I mean, I could live for weeks and be okay. And
so between you and
defend
Lisa, we'll just come hang
Yeah.
out.
and defend
Yeah.
myself and the place for a while too. So, I'm not a prepper. I don't mean that, but I think, we live in Minnesota. There's snowstorms. You get trapped for a few days occasionally. Literally have.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
common sense.
It is.
To be prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
depend
And these
on
are
other
the things
people.
that they should be teaching in school. They should teach you how to run a checkbook and how to.
Yes.
I had this great conversation with this old guy today. So we were going to try to go live today, and we have everything prepared. But supposedly this one little adapter that's not working, right? So I'm standing there at Best Buy, and they're not open yet. They says they're open at 10. They don't actually open till 11, but
nice.
that's beside the rant. But this old guy, this great grandpa,
Thanks, COVID.
this great grandpa, yeah, COVID doesn't happen after 11 a.m., by the way.
Yeah.
Before 11, we're in trouble.
Or before 10. Yeah, 10 p.m. It's.
Well, 11 a.m.
Oh, yeah, 11,
So,
11, yeah.
So
Yeah.
They can't open
Yeah, sleep
until
that
11.
Central
So
Sleep that
before
COVID
11, we're in
Right.
trouble. After 11, we're fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, just talking to him, standing there for an hour almost, and it was a great conversation. I would have never had that opportunity had Best Buy been open and some of those kinds of things. But, you think about that, and he's crazy upset about this, and he's like, what happened? In just such a short time. Nobody's prepared for anything. Everybody follows along with everything. Nobody does any kind of
Conforms.
research. Nobody can write anymore. Nobody, and he wasn't complaining. He's just confused. Like,
More
what-
questions than
yeah.
answers.
Like, why are people not like me standing up and saying what in the heck is going on? But the CDC has zombie apocalypse preparation, so we're okay. Makes sense.
Exactly.
So
Fauci will come out with that pretty soon, right?
there's my
Guidelines for that, or
He's been
suggestions.
quiet.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, he's been quiet.
Yeah. Where's Burke been too? Dr. Burke, remember Scarf Woman?
Oh, she got caught. Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
wearing
yeah.
a mask.
Oh yeah, not wearing a mask, not social distancing.
Oh, like all the other ones, like everybody else.
During Thanksgiving last year.
So another hypocrite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and she resigned.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I know.
She was with a bunch of family literally like the next day after coming out and saying, "Don't go see family for Thanksgiving."
So that means the governor of California should
Social-
resign too, right? Because he's a hypocrite,
Social
right?
distancing, wear a mask if you have to be around people. Don't do it. Blah blah blah. And oh yeah, there were all kinds of pictures that were floating around of her with her family, and they traveled and stuff like that. And she's like, "I'm not going to put up with this. I'm going to resign. I'm not going to fight
I didn't
it."
know that.
She's like, "I'm out."
She didn't wear her scarf as a mask.
Oh boy, I saw the pictures and it's like, yeah, they're all different ages. So again, what is going on?
I don't know. Maybe it could just be like advertising and marketing too. Maybe it was just sort of in poor taste, and they're like, "This will get them." Like maybe it was just simple as that, and they just thought, "Hey, this will get their attention." Maybe they didn't put a full amount of thought into it like we are right now, and that
Maybe
happens.
we're not either.
I don't know. Right?
Chances are good of that.
Oh, I'm always an overthinker, but maybe it got people's attention. I always look at it this way. I'm like, negative tension's attention, and we're talking about it right now. So there you go.
I do agree with that. Yeah, I don't know. We could probably
Doesn't mean it's right.
I
It doesn't
no,
mean
I
it's
know, but
fair, but it happens. And
what I don't like is like people are literally like literally scared that this is a real thing because our government is saying be prepared for a zombie apocalypse. It's coming. People are literally scared of it.
yeah. I think we
And I
need
don't
to
and I-
define that
and I
zombie
don't-
apocalypse.
And I don't
What does
fault
that
them
entail?
for that. I don't fault them for that
Yeah.
either, right?
They're believing the government.
Yes.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you?
Well,
Because
That's
they were
why we're
supposed to be
sitting-
credible,
is this
right?
going to be a
Supposed to
4-hour
have
special
things
today?
as best we can.
So maybe now in schools they'll have zombie training, warning like
Well,
tornado,
again,
thunderstorm.
This bothers me. Are we
Watch
Are we
this.
worried? Are we fearful that people are going to try and eat our brains? I mean, what we know of zombies is, from movies, Night of the Living Dead. Brains. I need brains. I mean, like
That
is
was
that,
some good stuff.
I
That was
mean, I
fun.
love that.
Back
That
in
was
the
some
80s.
good. That was the old stuff.
Oh,
Like that
yeah.
was great. But now, are we comparing? Is that zombie-like
Is that
behavior?
the one in the mall? The big mall? Like the shopping mall?
Oh, I'm going
Which
back
one?
old school. I'm thinking
Yeah, the
black
one in
and
the
white.
80s.
I'm going black and white Night of the Living Dead,
Oh,
and then
I don't
they
think I saw that
colorized it.
one.
I'm just thinking. I'm still imagining. But
The one in the 80s. There was a good one in the 80s.
Well-
Wasn't that like in a shopping?
you drink enough, you can be a zombie. I don't know. Like
I
honestly,
saw that last week.
I mean, I've seen people. Again, I will just say this: that have been under the influence of some pretty hardcore drugs, and they are in such their own world. They're dancing in the middle of a parking lot, thinking they're somewhere else. And so that looked very zombie-like to me. I've seen YouTube videos, and unfortunately, people were making fun of it. Unfortunately, people put Michael Jackson's Thriller behind it. So my point being is, like,
That's funny, actually.
so sorry.
That's funny.
I so tried hard not to laugh at that because it was funny. But again, I felt guilt. I felt
somebody
guilt
else's-
watching
Yeah,
it and
no,
laughing at
yeah.
it, even though I didn't
Yeah.
film it and I wasn't the person doing it. So that was very zombie-like. So I think we all are going to have our own perspective of that. And if we're going to go with this, or if CDC or, some pretty credible, whatever you want to call it, you need to start defining what zombie-like behavior is, because people are going to freak out.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
I like to keep my brains, what's left of them. So just saying.
I missed that movie. I was watching Bambi then.
So did I.
Sorry.
Right? Yeah. The Exorcist,
cover.
Night of the Living Dead. We were
Yeah.
those psycho. We were those people.
Twitter patent.
Right?
Twitter patter.
Twitter pated.
Twitter pated. Yeah. Twitter pated.
We didn't have zombie in
And
Disney.
by the way, I would like to say that
No.
this stuff is preventable. I mean, we sit here and we talk about it, this and that. I mean, I think that we have time. There are measures. There are things that we can do to prevent this, right? Like, why are we just setting this in stone? Like, this is going to happen. Maybe, like, let's help take care of our people, mental health, this and that. Maybe we can.
Well,
Because
Nostradamus said.
So it's set in stone, right?
But we prepared ourselves.
But we
so
have free will. I don't know. Things can change. Sorry.
No, it's okay. For last year, I feel like we prepared, or we didn't prepare ourselves, but we were taught that we would bring the puppet of this is happening and this is happening, and then the hornets are coming, and then the seeds are coming, and then this.
Right.
What? Okay. Oh
Biblical.
yeah. Okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
COVID did that to our
I
mind.
know the bees. I had
The hornets, the bees, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
they were,
those-
but-
The murder,
yeah.
murder
Wasp,
hornets.
rain,
But now,
and
now it's
frost.
the zombies.
murder hornets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a big farce. Like, seriously,
But we
I talked
accepted
to a bee.
it. You know what I mean?
I didn't.
Well, I didn't,
Just
but I'm
so
just
you know.
saying.
I just a couple of days ago, I had like a 45-minute ride to an airport, and so I think it was like their sister and brother-in-law have kept bees for like 30 years. And the short version is they're like that murder hornet thing that was a big. Like,
It ain't gonna happen.
I'm not gonna
that's
lie.
not real.
I
That's-
thought of like.
I mean,
Hunger
they're
Games.
real, but they're
Right?
not, like-
I thought of Hunger Games with those things. I'm like, I don't
know.
want to be stung by one of those things. I don't know. Again, I went to
Yeah.
movies. I don't know.
But your point being,
Right.
go ahead.
No,
I
it's
mean,
just that you kind of nailed it. I mean, it's just the same thing. This is the next thing. So hopefully more people
They're
will
just-
be saying, "Oh my gosh," and versus
either
this is actually
preparing-
real, right?
They're either
Yeah.
preparing us or they're dumbing us down,
Exactly.
and it might be the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Just like the second wave of COVID, everything like that too. So wear a second mask, wear a third mask, when does it stop?
And then why are
Bubbles.
they pushing this vaccine so well? Let me split this into two thoughts. Why are they pushing the vaccine so hard, and that every person, it'll be available to every person in May? So why are they pushing it so hard? I mean, Lyft and Uber are advertising like, we'll give you a ride. They're oh yeah.
I actually
It's-
thought you were going to say, "We'll give you the shot." And
Well,
I'm like,
that'll be the next thing.
like,
Yeah.
Here's your Burger King Whopper. and
DoorDash.
And your vaccine.
Yeah, they said that. Send it out with every UPS and every Prime, Amazon Prime delivery person, and everybody would have the immunization quicker than anything.
Within a week.
And then on the second thought of that is, okay, why is the Biden administration getting praised for this? Because the Trump administration had it going, and they said June.
Media.
Right?
Media.
Do we really have that short of a memory?
Some people do.
Not us.
Before we get into multiple sclerosis, there, I said it right this time. Awareness. Thank you very much. I hopefully don't break my arm when I pat myself on the back.
Short version.
MS.
Yeah.
Like it.
I don't know what feedback you guys have had, but I've had some feedback. Why is this a political show? And I started hear me out. I started to think about this, and literally we've had only a handful of political articles that we've talked about. This week we have one political article. That's it. But does it feel like?
Again,
I just
people
want to get thoughts on that.
It's what's hot right now. It's what
I
Right.
love,
it's
I love
pushed
people
in
being
our face
critical.
all the time.
people aren't talking about the pets that were on the plane or the dogs or the cute stories. Yes, it's lovely and it makes
But
you
even
feel
us,
good.
they think my point being is they think we're doing is talking about politics. But the reality is we're not. It's very small.
Mm-hmm. So again, people are hearing and
It-
seeing what they want to see or hear.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think that, probably once a week, maybe we bring up an article. And I think it's all about what's relevant. I don't know if they're understanding that. Like, that's what is happening in our world right
Yeah.
now, in our community. So, of course, we're going to talk about it. And I would hope that they also see that the other articles that we bring into it, the feel-goodness of it, it's not all negative. I think that That
No,
we
and I don't think politics needs to be negative
No,
either. I don't
exactly.
mean that.
Yeah.
Just out of the comfort zone. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable with it, then it's, oh my gosh, they were talking about it.
That's
It's taboo.
Yeah.
And that's
There
the
you
whole
go.
point of the show is
Exactly. Think out. Yeah, give
Don't
different
you,
opinions.
don't you think though too that they tie politics to everything, even
And I
Yes.
think
and
I
it,
do.
it can be.
literally
Right.
every story they can just tie politics to everything.
in some way you probably could, for
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
And that's actually scarier, because why is the government entity involved in so many things?
Right.
I would then ask. But
We're gonna need a longer show for that one.
yeah. The you know, and so the reality is that you know, like you say, people hear what they want to hear, and the reality is we need to talk about politics because it's relevant, and it needs to be relevant to people's lives. And let me ask you this question: how many of you heard about the murder that happened in George Floyd Square?
I did.
Who else?
I'd heard about it.
Craig was
earlier.
gone, I guess.
You're
Yeah.
out of the country.
We were
weren't
out of the
you?
country, yeah.
You were sunning.
Yeah.
Well,
Did-
that-
I didn't. I did
didn't.
not.
How is that not a big thing right now with everything going on? That's my question. And that's exactly why, like, I decided to do this. We need to focus on what's important and what's relevant. That's pretty relevant, if you ask me. That
And you know,
should
the-
be
the article
that
I
should be
seen-
national news.
The article
like-
I seen, I'm just gonna say it said black man killed where George Floyd was killed. You know, I mean, literally almost a copycat kind of situation. Did it get the notoriety, all that hype and hoopla? No. So
It's disingenuous. It's very, very disingenuous, in my opinion, when you look at this literal statistics. MS. Let's do it. March is MS. Can I say the word? Sclerosis. Yes. Awareness Month. Lisa, why don't you talk about this?
This one is very dear to my heart. It is the whole month, but is specifically this week is what you celebrate. It's not something to celebrate. Actually, it is. I have my shirt on. I do the MS walk every day. I was diagnosed with MS in 2013. It's an autoimmune disease. I didn't know anything about it. I thought I was having a stroke. And it's something that people don't talk about, and it's very, very much, there's over 2.8 million people that have this. It's considered the lucky of the autoimmune disease, the nervous system diseases. And when I went into the hospital and they're like, oh gosh, you got MS, that's okay. I'm like, to me, I didn't even know what that was. And that's why I brought this article up, because it is Awareness Month. I think the more people are educated about it. When I was diagnosed, I was scared to death I was going to be picking out a wheelchair. I didn't know anything about it. And the more you educate yourself and the more you can teach others about it and the more we can bring awareness to it, it's not that at all. It's
I can
like,
teach you how to ride a wheelie in a wheelchair.
See, that's-
I'm very, very
you know.
good at it. In fact, I
accept.
used to be so good at riding a wheelie in a wheelchair, I could literally do it downstairs.
I love it. I love it.
So I'll help you out.
And that's the thing. That's the stereotype. I was picking out wheelchairs right away. I'm like, that's it. Well, that was a good run. And that's not the case at all. So many people don't even end up in a wheelchair. So many people don't, it's like a snowflake. There are no two MS patients that are the same. There are factors that you can do. There's no cure for it. There are medications. I personally am doing it naturally. There's oral, there's shots you can take every day. There's steroids, there's blood transfusions that you can take your blood, remix it, and that works for some people. I have the relapsing remission kind, which is very common. There are other ones that people pass away within 4 to 5 months of being diagnosed. That's what I mean. Educating yourself is huge.
Yeah.
Some of the very common symptoms are numbness. Many eye doctors, when you go for an eye exam, that's where MS is diagnosed. I didn't know
really?
that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, I had symptoms. I was diagnosed December 6th, and I had symptoms the whole summer long that when I look back, hindsight's 2020. And like, oh my God, I got a pinched nerve and I got to go to the chiropractor. My arm is numb. And we adjusted. Or we went to the movie theater and it's like, that out of focus to you? Does that look funny to you? And well, it came back. I was like, okay, getting older. So there are many symptoms that led up to that. And most of the time an eye doctor doesn't diagnose you. But like I said, I got to the point that my entire right side of my body was numb. And that's why I ended up going to the hospital. And they generally, either the eye doctor or MRIs will tell you. Or another common sign is when you look down. If you've ever grown up on a farm or ever had like electrical shock, the best thing is when you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you hold on to
Yeah.
little monkey things and it gives you a little electric thing. That's what's happening on your spine. You know, look at it like old school when you have a telephone cord or electrical wire, and that
We have
gets
an electric fence out back, so
Yeah.
afterwards
There you go.
we'll go each
Yes.
test it.
Right.
Yes,
So
that
we
is
know
what
how
an
you
MS
feel it,
attack
yeah.
is. So, but the myelin sheath runs from our, on our spinal cord, and that gets frayed, and there's no curing that. So you got to consider once it's gone, you can't, like I said, old school telephone cord or electrical wire. Once that's frayed, the only thing that they're proving is like, it's interesting. Vitamin D is a huge thing too. So we. Our friends up to Canada, there's many more cases of MS because they're not getting that, which is interesting.
The sun.
Mm-hmm. But in the same sense, Alaska, they have very few cases because they eat so much fish.
Oh.
So omega, again, there's no scientifics. I work with Matt Keegan. I work with other neurologists at Mayo. I don't do the treatment, so I go ahead and have regular MRIs every 2 years just to make sure the lesions are not getting any worse. But in Alaska, they eat so much fish. So there's so much omega oils in there. So the oil helps coat that. It's never going to get that replaced, but it helps coating it and smoothing it. Yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah, that's why I said, just educating yourself. Last year, because of COVID, we were not able to do the MS walk. Rochester has one. Every community has one. But this year, it is going to happen. So it's May 1st down at Soldiers Field. Otherwise, the same one's going on in Faribault, I believe, the same day. So there's lots of ways to get educated. And it's not as scary as you'd think it is. I didn't know how to pronounce it. When the doctor told me a multiple,
Sclerosis.
what do you got? What, you know?
MS.
So
I can't
MS.
say it normally. I don't
Yeah.
know why I couldn't earlier, but
But
Is this genetic for you? Is this running
no,
in your family?
Not at all. Not at all. And there's no scientific, it's like 3%.
Wow.
3 to 5%. There are common, definitely more women get it than men. And more, an average 20-year-olds to 40-year-olds is when you're going to be diagnosed. Definitely white is more predominant than any other race.
How about your children? I mean, I would imagine as
So
a mother,
little.
you were probably, did you think of that? Like, not
I
only for
did.
yourself, you're like, oh, my kids, you know?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think a positive attitude goes a long ways.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
and
Always.
again,
Absolutely.
educating yourself on what it was. I was convinced I was picking out a wheelchair. That is, every case, just like a snowflake, everyone is different. And that's why it was important to me, because it is Awareness a Month. And if you could learn one thing of it, it's not contagious. It's not, I can function and you would never know I even had it.
Well, what's a bad day for you? I'm curious. What would be a bad day with having multiple sclerosis?
For me personally, the right side of my body goes numb. It starts with my arm and then it spreads down to my leg. Very common. You'll always see T-shirts or jokes or MS. It's like, oh, is she drunk? No, she has MS. It's very common to lose your balance. So that's what like Rebif and some of these other drugs, they help you get that balance back. But an average episode, you call it an attack, an episode is different for everyone. Mine's probably about 4 or 5 weeks. And that's the problem,
It
though.
lasts that long?
So when your body is here and you consider you have a flare up, then it gets a little worse and it never comes all the way back down.
Is that like once or twice a year? How often would you say? Just curiosity.
Everyone is different. I know what triggers me,
Yeah.
and I'm very aware and in tune with my body when it
Super
comes to
interesting.
that. It is intriguing.
That is very interesting. I didn't even realize there were triggers for
Definitely
that.
hot tub. Anything with the heat on your
Oh,
spine will hot.
interesting.
Yep. So they don't want you spending a lot of time in the sun or tanning or hot tubs. Keeping that frayed cord, spinal cord.
Wow.
Cool.
Protected.
Yeah. So
I like how in the article they had how managing depression and anxiety in this. That was really cool. The other thing was another webinar that John Hopkins Hospital has in the involvement in that. My grandfather stole my dad from one hospital and brought him to John Hopkins so he would live. And so John Hopkins is like an amazing research hospital. So I love what they're doing with all these different things. So this article was pretty cool for me too to see that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Lisa. That's
Yeah.
very meaningful.
Anybody
So-
else on?
anybody wants to join my team on May 1st, let me know. We'll go walking. So
So we could be the MS Misfits.
There you go. I like it.
Ooh, we could.
Oh, and by the way, if I can put a plug in for the studio, is that cool?
Yeah.
So I own Salt and Pepper Photography, and if you do purchase a gift card for the month of March, I am donating 50% of that gift card towards MS.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
love that.
It's very special. It's very dear to me.
Nice.
I think education is key to anything, but this one is really dear to my heart.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really
When is
good.
that walk
Thank you.
again, Lisa? Tell us.
May 1st.
In
Soldier's
Rochester.
Field. Yep.
Okay, very
Okay.
nice. Okay. Do it. Let's do it.
So hey, viewers and listeners, let's support Lisa Lingo. We'll get people out there.
Yeah,
That
we'll
would
keep
be
talking about this. Definitely as it gets closer, and make sure we get something going and up. So that's a Saturday. It looks like.
We can do the MS walk any day and show our support.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's do something. Let's
Very
figure it
nice.
out. Unilever says it will no longer use the word normal on its beauty products because it makes people feel excluded. Unilever has decided it will no longer be using the word normal on the packaging of any of its bath and beauty products in a bid to be a more inclusive company. Excuse me. The company will also not make any digital alterations in the bodies and skin color of the models it uses in its advertising. Woo!
That's what I found most interesting. Wow. Unbelievable. Photoshop, everything. huh?
They literally
Including
admitted
colors.
to it.
admitted to it.
They admitted to
colors and bodies.
Yeah.
Wow. I can see a little Photoshop edit here and there or something.
Which I
or-
say, by the way, good for you. You admitted to it, whether that was purposeful. I don't know, but it's just refreshing to have somebody, be accountable.
Own it.
Yeah, own it.
Hasn't that been happening though for a long time? That
Yes.
the as a younger boy, I remember the SI swimsuit issue coming out. And I
Craig,
mean,
tell
That's
us
one to
about
chime
tell us
in.
about that. What is that?
and I mean, it was obvious that things were touched up. So I mean, I don't think that's anything new. But yes, it's a big corporation's finally come out and said, "Yep, we've been doing it. We've been doing it for a
Yeah.
long time, probably."
I guess my thing is like, when I read this article, I was sitting there thinking, like, if they're touching up on these beautiful skinny women, you gave the example of Sports Illustrated swimsuit models, and they're touching them up. How do you think us regular folk feel?
Absolutely.
And how did they feel knowing that they have these bodacious bodies, and yet, somebody behind a camera decided, oh, let's make this bigger, this less, your waist skinnier. I mean, I think it's sending a very negative message. And, and also I thought what was interesting is using the word normal. I imagine myself going back being a teenager and going to the store and purchasing shampoo or this or makeup. I worked in the makeup industry for a while, and they would always have things like normal skin or normal to oily. And you question, you're like, well, what am I? Like, what is my skin type? And then, and as we all know, our body changes, our body chemistry changes often as we get older. So where you might be normal when you're younger, then your skin starts getting dry or oily, and then you start questioning yourself. And so I was sort of in the middle with this, sort of like, are we making this more of a thing again? For example, you'll notice it in this article, they had said something about, and Tresemme, it's a hair care products in South America, South Africa. I don't want to get this wrong, but they had referred to African women's hair as dull and frizzy on some of the products. And then even in India,
South Africa.
thank you, South Africa. And even in India, they have the skin lightening product that was once fair and lovely, but they changed it to glow and lovely just to, get rid of these negative stereotypes of darker skin tones and stuff. And my only thing was where I was in the middle was just like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't wake up looking this good. I wake up, my hair is dull and frizzy.
Wait,
and it takes a lot of hair products, and it takes some tools to sometimes get this. So in a way, they're not necessarily wrong, but I understand that there's a stigma behind it, and people are questioning themselves and that from it. So, and what I was most pleased about this is that somebody's owning up that they Photoshop and that they're, that, because I'm a huge I'm not a big fan of photoshopping, even on social media outlets. I will say this, like Facebook and Instagram. Be who you are. Like, I don't mind that you want to be a puppy or a kitty or a bunny and be
Snapchat.
cute, but here's my issue with it. You are trying to be somebody that you're not. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call it out. And I don't mind it once in a while, but if you plan on going out and meeting people and trying to claim and be that you're this beautifully blemish-free and this and that, that's one thing, but I just feel there's some deception in that, and I think that this article kind of proves that a little bit.
But we buy it.
We do. We
TikTok and look at is this I mean, we buy it in bulk.
do. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So they're going to keep doing it. It's going to keep getting worse.
So here's my thing. Like, so when I do selfies, I'm just as guilty. But if I have a big old pimple on my face, instead of like, oh, I'm going to use this Photoshop feature and just like get rid of that, I just don't post the selfie that day. That's where I'm different from other people, because I want to be real. I want you guys to see that I have crow's feet and that I'm aging gracefully. And, and that's just my take on it. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different perspective. But then, and this particular article is just really, it makes sense. It's confusing. You're sitting there saying this is for normal hair. What is normal hair? So,
Mine right here.
That is not normal.
best hair
I
in the
know it's
business.
not normal.
You could stand on that.
But it's his hair.
Upside down.
Right.
Wait, so I want to say, so they're not going to use the word normal anymore.
Moisture replenish.
No, wait, they're not going to use the word normal anymore, but now they're going to show people as normal. Get it? Because of the photoshopping and everything.
Well, that's
not so much normal, I think, would be their defense. It's more real. Not
Real.
Well,
normal.
Yep.
okay, isn't that normal? I mean,
I don't know.
isn't that normal?
That's an
average,
Are we-
normal? Yeah.
Oftentimes we hear this word, this word or phrase, I just want to get things back to being normal, especially after this pandemic. But
Well,
what
it's new normal
What is
now.
and I feel like here's the thing with this article that I did like is that our world is changing every single day. We are trying to improve it or trying to be politically correct or trying not to be offensive, this and that. Sometimes I think we go a little too far, and I think some of us are a little too sensitive. But at the same time, I see improvement in this. I mean, if you have an African American woman modeling your products, you should not be making her skin lighter. And my thing is that if that's what you're seeking, then you need a different model. And you're definitely sending out a really negative message by doing so. So I guess in a way, like I see so many different things with this article, but I'm proud to see that, hey, we're moving, we're changing things. Maybe they're setting an example.
And thank you for sharing that point of view of having people of all different appearances. It's not just, I think we're seeing that more in general now, is you're having the plus size models and just more naturally looking people and not that perfect 10 that, society tells us we need to be. So, yeah, it's a nice
I think there's a balance though too, is like you have to understand there's a place that you have to be healthy. We can't promote being unhealthy either.
Which we have
Absolutely.
been doing,
Yes.
by the way. There's plenty of footage of people promoting not being healthy and finding it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a friend, he was 600 pounds.
I'm just going to say there's such a thing as feeders. I've been watching a lot of documentaries, and some people find it sexy to continually to eat. And people find it sexy to continually help people to feed them. So there's a lot of contradictions, and there's a lot of confusing information out there of, what's beautiful and what's not. And, what do you do with that?
And it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly.
Everybody has a different.
Your wife loves
That's not where I was going on that one,
Your wife
but
loves you.
Okay, so
what might be beautiful to
love
one
you.
person isn't
We
beautiful
love
to another
you.
person.
Beauty is
So
in the eye
be
of the
who you
beholder,
are.
but question that when you have somebody putting a funnel to your mouth as they
Oh,
put ice
absolutely.
cream down it. So I don't know. I mean, again.
Yeah, I exactly. We can't be. Let me read this. You guys probably saw this. Marcus Aurelius, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. We're too sensitive. I mean, this is
Amen.
2,000 years ago, and he's like, y'all are too sensitive.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
right? But I think the important thing is yes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We're all different, which is beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's what makes us unique.
Yeah, and I think for me though is understanding what's healthy and what's not healthy. You know, things in moderation are okay. A funnel of ice cream,
That's not.
that's not. Wait,
Yeah.
that's not so bad.
Okay.
Once in a while.
Sure. Have 2 pieces of cake.
If you're gonna do it every day,
Yeah.
if you're gonna not
Film it.
exercise,
If you're gonna
film it, you know, and I say funnel obviously tongue in cheek, but the point being is ice cream's not bad
Right.
In moderation.
in moderation.
Just
What's
like
the
cake.
only thing?
But moderation for one person is not the same as moderation.
Right.
No,
for
but
another
it
person.
is, and that's the point. Being healthy.
As a woman, I love looking at a magazine and seeing the skinny, beautiful woman. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I also looking at the magazine and love seeing the plus size woman. There's nothing wrong with that. God made us all, and that's wonderful to look at. Being a photographer, I do use Photoshop a lot. I don't ever want to change anyone. I want to enhance their beauty. And if that means taking off a couple of crow's feet, if that's what they want, I am more than willing to do that for them. I don't ever want to do a business person and then have them do their headshot updated and they don't even look like that person. That's what I'm not about. I'm not wanting to change someone. One of the cutest stories I had a sexy boudoir lady came in and she was so self-conscious and she had rolls and she had scars and she had a C-section. And she just, I want my husband just to look at me like he did when we met. And we retouched everything.
That's
and we
so
made her,
sweet.
and you know what? They came back in to order their album. And the husband said to me, can you just like take all that off? Those scars are my kids. Those wrinkles are when we delivered. And that's one of the most heartwarming stories. So I don't ever want to change anyone, but I don't really see a problem in enhancing things.
Good word. I like that word.
As for the
Enhancing.
normal
Yeah.
word, I have 4 boys. They are not, I'm not a big makeup person. I don't spend a lot of time doing this. So when I go to pick out something, here you go, this is it. I don't want to look at the 40 different kinds. This one, thick lashes, thin lashes, long lashes, this lashes, that lashes. As a boy, Sammy, go get some shampoo. He's going to go grab the normal shampoo. Thank you for just putting normal on there. I don't need to, you know what I mean? He would be there all day long. So normal, thick, curly, straight, great. So I feel like people are very sensitive and over reading stuff. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think what's in bad taste here for me was when the Dove commercial, and I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's
That
in
I
bad
agree.
taste.
I would agree with that.
Tell us more. What's that?
Well, it says here
body.
one of the company's
That right
key
there.
brands, Dove, also faced pushback after an ad for its body wash depicted a black woman removing her top only to reveal a white
Yeah.
woman.
That's too
Right.
much.
That is,
Oh.
I mean, that's terrible.
That is very terrible. And maybe
That's
in a way
terrible.
that they came out because of
I don't
this.
know,
They
what was
have
the
a
intent
past.
behind
Yeah,
that?
they
What
have a
in the
past,
world?
obviously. It sounds like with something. So maybe
terrible.
in a way that, you know, they're owning up to it. Like, well, you're going to know about
And
it
when
anyway.
was that?
I don't know when that was, but
I remember, but it was relatively speaking a long time ago.
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I have
what
no
sticks in my head is like
recollection.
20 years ago.
Unilever, from my understanding, there's a lot of brands
They have a
associated.
ton of
and
brands with them.
and I thought Trump owned Unilever. I could be wrong, and I don't want to make it
It's a
political,
London.
but
No, they say it's a London.
okay. I thought at one time
some
he
here-
did own
somewhere
Unilever,
here.
but that was a long time ago when I saw that. If that is the case, but you know, again,
it
it's like,
said it
hey,
here.
you know, just let people
London,
be people.
London-based conglomerate. Yeah.
For me, when you see that word normal, if you don't see the word, the opposite of normal is abnormal or unnormal. So normal is just average. So when you're talking about the makeup, average to normal to dry,
Normal
it's a
oil.
baseline. It's just a baseline
Yeah.
for you.
It
It's
doesn't
not
mean
a
you
stigma.
need to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
And
a
that's
stigma.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a sensitivity thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you need to be normal.
Yeah,
That's
I
no
Lord
just that's
knows.
where
Well, I
yeah,
do.
like,
fun.
all you
Lord knows.
I do. Yeah,
We're
Lisa,
getting-
I do.
so
Right.
oversensitive with
Or
that.
above normal.
Lord knows that just that's a what
Why don't
is
we just
that?
put
It doesn't
weird?
exist.
Let's just put
Normal
weird.
just makes you
I'm
fit
okay
in with
with
the
being
crowd.
weird and odd. Could you imagine if we started labeling things with that? I mean, would
That doesn't
we own
sell.
That, I
That
don't know.
doesn't
Maybe
sell.
not.
So that's not marketing.
Right,
So
I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
sell.
Where
So-
does it stop? This is
Yeah.
shampoo for blondes, for brunettes. I mean, where does it
That's
stop?
so true.
Is how I feel. honestly.
There's so many products out there right now as it is.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. When I go into a Walgreens or CVS, whatever it may be, wherever you are, I sometimes will look at a product and read the back. But for the most part, I don't have all that time. I'm just grabbing something. I kind of glance at it and hope that it works well for me. So just for all those big wig companies that think that, I know some people have all that time in the world. They can stand in the aisles and read that stuff. But, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of it's marketing. The way a product looks, a lot of times I will be like, wow, that's a nice looking product. And am guilty of that. I will be like, I'm going to try that out. I like trying new things. So it's not necessarily for me, the writing that's on it. Sometimes it's that $1 million packaging that will get me. And it's not always necessarily the best product once you use it. But
Well, and sometimes things are what they are. Like, you have 3 options on shampoo. Dry, average, normal, average, or oily. You fit into A, B, or C, or
Yeah.
find something in the middle.
you got curly hair, straight hair. What do you
Don't be offensive
normal
by
hair.
a term just because it's the middle of the 3.
Are you being triggered?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a microaggression.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't want curly hair. I want a straight hair. I'm just
Everybody
saying.
that wants curly hair
It's
wants
so
straight hair,
true.
and everybody that wants straight hair
And we know
wants
this
curly
is
Let's curly
true,
hair, yeah.
because we have straightening irons and curling irons, everything to make our hair what it is not. So here we are complaining about companies. It's like, just get the shampoo and wash your hair. Back in the day, we didn't have shampoo. What did we wash our hair in? A river with rocks? I don't know. Like just.
And I'm happy that I just have hair, but bald people are like proud as hell that they're bald. And whatever. Be you.
Some say we over shampoo our hair. We over bathe. I don't know.
I don't think you can over.
Love what you
I
got.
like the words.
Love what you're working with.
That's funny.
Americans take too many showers.
They
huh?
do.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything wrong with wanting to be clean? I don't know. Sometimes I get it on the water usage, but I'm like, I just want
For
to
about
smell
as
good.
long as I can remember, too, I've been
do we want to
concerned
go
with
down
my
the
hair.
road?
I don't.
You
And
what?
I've been concerned with my hair for about as long as I can remember.
Imagine that.
No, I know. Seriously.
Gosh,
Out of the womb.
I should
Straight
show you
out of the womb.
some pictures.
Straight
I
out of the
know,
womb.
it's got the best hair,
pretty
gel and
much.
everything.
Straight out
But
of the womb.
the point that I'm trying to make is that concern has not led me to a brand or what it says on it, but I've tried tons of different products and I use what I like. I couldn't even tell you what I use. I mean, I could now that I say that, but
Yeah.
I just pops in my head because I keep getting it. But the point to me is with this article, it's like, just does it work for you?
Right.
Does it not work for you?
Great.
And if-
Try something else.
Are you going to try
Now,
something because
again,
of war?
that what they did with that, where they it says the black woman removing
was
her
terrible.
top only to reveal. That's terrible. But the other words, I mean, oh come on.
That's helpful. I'm looking for shampoo that's for frizzy and dull hair.
Right.
I'm okay with that. That's what I have. But I just
Call a
don't.
spade a spade.
Right. There's nothing wrong with having frizzy hair too. I can't change it. So thanks for doing the work and get me the shampoo that I need to grab right away. I don't need to spend 20 minutes looking for the shampoo because it's labeled some other thing that it's not.
Moisture replenish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. That's the part that got me. I'm like, I can fully admit that I wake up and I have not the best hair. So it's like they're speaking the truth. Why are we getting mad at them for speaking the truth that we have dull and frizzy hair? It's
Because
I don't
everything
know.
has to be made bigger and better than it is. Like all the new fancy buzzwords. Can you just say what it is so I don't have to go into a dictionary and say, what the heck does this
Wikipedia. Go to
buzzword of the day mean? I don't know what the buzz
Or the Urban Dictionary.
Dictionary.
It's just like
Can you imagine?
fuzzy,
And can
fizzy,
you imagine
whatever.
those like meetings that they have over there at Unilever? Having to for words like how can we not be offensive and how can we oh my gosh, I have a headache thinking about it because that they're just spitballing and like this focus group of like what's not going to offend people, what's going to sell.
See,
Why
now
don't
me
you
being a marketing person, I'm intrigued by that. And, what does sell?
But
what does
the
sell?
problem is to me it's overthought.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to. Harmony, you're right. If the label looks good, I'm gonna I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of the same way. But then I'm gonna try the product. Plain and simple.
Right.
You can market the heck out of this thing, and I'll try it because you had good marketing. But if it doesn't freaking work,
There you
All
go.
I don't care what you do or how woke you are or how inclusive you are
Offended.
or offended you are by. It doesn't matter. If your product sucks, I don't care anything about you.
Yeah. And here's the thing interesting I think about those businesses. They know this. They know that, well, you might not like it, but that's okay. You already bought it once, and so that they're okay with that because they already made $1 million. So of course their ideal and their goal is for you to keep buying the product and for you to love it so much that you're going to share it with your friends. But I always just think that a good company, I shouldn't differentiate, but good company wants the product to continue selling and wants to make a difference in your life. But there's also, it's like, hey, we made $1 million, So,
Here's how ridiculous this is. Have you ever heard of Disney? Small company.
Yeah.
I think so.
Heard of them?
the ever-changing Disney.
So Disney so they stream the Muppets now, right? So Disney, did you hear about this? Mm-hmm. So they put this disclaimer on front of the Muppets that it could offend you, right?
Oh.
Did you hear
Muppets?
anything
I
about
didn't
that?
see
I'm
that.
not
I
going to
don't.
pull the article up right now. People just go look at it, but let me tell the story. So they streamed the Muppets. People were offended by some of the things that the Muppets do and say and blah, blah, blah. So they put on this disclaimer at the beginning of the Muppets when they're streaming, and that it could offend you, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. Now, Hulu is owned by Disney. And have you ever heard of The Family Guy?
Oh, yeah.
The Family
Totally
Guy,
PC.
The Family Guy, who is done by Seth MacFarlane. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, who is a very blue guy, right? He's Democrat. He's very liberal, progressive, whatever. You want to label him. Hate labels, but that's how people would define him, and that's fine. I don't care, but I hate labels. Some of the most racist, terrible things that the Family Guy does and talks about and jokes about today, and they're okay with it.
Hypocrisy.
So this same thing is bleeding. This whole woke culture and this canceled culture is bleeding into hair products, and it needs to when they're doing something as awful as depicting a black woman removing her top and becoming a white woman. That's ridiculously crazy. 100 years ago it was crazy. 200 years ago, that people, come on, you need to be called out for that, and you need to be smacked for that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yes.
But when you have the Muppets
Yeah.
and you have Seth MacFarlane's The Family Guy, and it's not treated the same at all, now I have a problem.
Or Dr. Seuss and WAP. I heard WAP a lot this week
Cardi
at a
B.
family resort, and I'm like,
It's whack.
and there's kids at whatever.
Is it WAP? Oh,
It's
I don't know.
WAP.
I didn't know
WAP.
what
And
it
I'm
was.
like,
okay, I didn't know
don't
what
look it
it
up.
was.
Back
okay.
in
And
my
I'm
day,
like,
that
she's
was a
gonna get a
college
freaking
cooler.
Grammy
I
for
know.
that. Yet Dr. Seuss is being
Yep.
Scrutinized.
scrutinized. And I'm like, if you took out all of the inappropriate words in that song would be like 10 seconds long. Like, come on. Just stop already. The double standards
Yeah.
are mind-blowing.
We had a meme for that, right?
We did.
I believe it was something
Yeah.
like, I can't, wait to read the lyrics to Cardi B's WAP to my children before bed, but I'm going to avoid Dr.
Dr.
Seuss's
Seuss.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope everybody knows what WAP stands for.
Don't look it up. Well, look it up. Look it up.
AP. Wet. And then a
But
couple other words.
I'm trying to gluteus maximus.
Wet donkey.
cat.
Wet donkey cat.
There we go.
Wow.
Donkey cat.
Hydrated.
Let's talk about some tourism.
Moisture.
Nobody likes that word moist. Let's just state that. That's on the list.
Now it's gonna get demonetized.
okay.
Yep. You're gonna get censored.
Not, not,
You're gonna
not
get censored.
monetized
Yes.
anyway.
You're gonna get
Moisture
censored.
replenished
Not
donkey kitty.
monetized
We don't use the
anyways.
word
It's
moist.
voluntary.
Not normal.
Moisture replenish. Can't wait to get to glistening.
Let's talk about some tourism. Impact of COVID-19 pandemic on tourism. This is off of Wikipedia. This is pretty interesting to me. I actually saw this firsthand because I travel like every day. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the tourism industry due to the resulting travel restrictions, as well as slump in demand among travelers. The tourism industry has been massively affected by the spread of the coronavirus, as many countries have introduced travel restrictions in an attempt to contain its spread. Blah, 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 blah. It talks about the decrease by 58 to 78% in 2020, leading to a potential loss of up to $1.2 trillion in international tourism. In many of the world's cities, planned travel went down by 80 to 90%. I don't know if I need to go on.
Those are some big.
There's travel
percentages.
bans. There's It talks about different places.
It definitely talked about the places that were hit harder.
Yeah.
Hardest, I guess, would be the right word.
Yeah.
And so I brought up this article, and if people haven't figured it out, we just got back from Jamaica last night, and
Nobody listens to this show anyway.
right. and
Tell by
that's why I wanted to
braided
talk about this. And the resort, and we were very careful. We had to have COVID tests before we could leave the country. We had COVID tests when we were down there, provided by the resort. Thank God. And we were lucky that we were able to go on a vacation this year, and it didn't really hit us till we got into the airport of how quiet, how ghost town everything is. I mean, our resort was, numbers floated around of like 7 to 13% of their normal occupancy, which means that their staff's hours are cut. And, the resort is owned by a billionaire. I'm assuming the owner can absorb this, but what about the locals that are employed? And
I got to interrupt you. You think that that's a ghost town right now? With the height of this, it wasn't 7 to 13%.
Oh, absolutely not. There were resorts that were closed for a year.
I was on planes that, we're talking 737s and A321s, and one of them was almost a 300 passenger or 250 passenger plane. I was literally the only person on it.
That would be so
Literally.
weird.
Other than
Wow.
other
That would
than
be weird.
the
attendants.
flight
Staff.
attendants and
Did you feel?
hopefully the
did you feel
pilots
pretty
were in
good?
there,
Like
but-
they offered you extra peanuts. What'd you get?
oh no, you couldn't have anything.
No.
No, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Very
can
limited
now.
service.
Yeah.
Not zero. There was zero service at
No
first.
hot towel.
Nothing.
No.
Well, for Matt,
Nothing.
they
What are
did
you flying?
something.
Yeah, I know,
Nothing.
right?
They usually let me fly the plane. No, but,
It's-
no, but there was literally nothing. I mean, you would go into a hotel and there'd be 2 or 3 people in 4 floors. I mean, you would go into. I mean, I was in Atlanta. Have you ever been in the Atlanta airport? Anybody? You know how busy that is, and shoulder to shoulder. Literally, I could see 10 people down one whole.
Concourse.
Yeah, like.
So was
nuts.
that weird for you guys, or was it
It's-
refreshing? What was it? Because I've been in
It's-
really huge, busy airports, and it's so chaotic, and the anxiety's there. So, what did it feel like for
I
you
would
guys?
go and I would call it like Biden's press secretary. Let's circle back to the zombie apocalypse. It literally is like
It felt weird.
It was scary.
this is
like,
nuts.
who's coming
it's-
out of the woodwork?
As a traveler, it was awesome because we literally stepped off the gate and we're out the front door of MSP in 20 minutes. Going through international customs. That does not happen. But it's not, yes, the big companies are taking it in the shorts, but it's the engine mechanics, the guys fueling the planes, the folks fueling the planes. It's the guys sweeping the beach, the bartenders, the restaurant workers,
the bartender.
all of the staff in the resorts and the hotels and the airports that they don't have jobs. They're not they're not working right now. They're just getting back to work. Most of the resorts in Jamaica, I think, were closed for 9 months to a year, and they're starting at 7%. And you can see it in the hotels. They're neglected maintenance because they can't pay these people to come in and
It's
maintain
obvious.
the places when there's nobody there to pay those bills. But these are people that are making 60, 70, 80 bucks a month. So if you are able to travel and you do it safely, and the safety thing is, I mean, it's ingrained the entire trip. I've never used so much hand sanitizer in my life that I did in the last week. And everybody's wearing masks, and like it's a little more lax at night, so you need to be a little stiffer about that at night. But if you can afford to go on a vacation, bring extra money for the people that are there to survive.
I love that. That's great advice.
So,
$5 to us made a guy cry.
right.
I mean, it was a $5 bill, but that made his week.
I love that. Love that.
And it was
So I had the
so
opportunity. I could have went to Paris this summer or Germany.
Paris,
But
not over the summer.
No, an opportunity, but unfortunately everything's in lockdown.
Yep.
So it'll have to be next year. Even to go to Hawaii, you have to quarantine for 14 days, even going to Hawaii. So
their tourism is
Right now.
1%
right now,
in
yeah.
Hawaii. Yep.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody a few days ago, and they said that COVID test, you don't have to quarantine.
So if you have a COVID
You
test,
have to have
In
it.
Hawaii.
If you mean the
In Hawaii.
vaccination.
Oh,
That's
well,
new then.
Bruce, book it.
Maybe, but that's what they said.
Oh, that's funny.
That's what they said. That's what they
Bruce,
said.
get an extra
Because
ticket.
Hawaii was
I'm
You have,
coming
to have,
too.
you have to have a COVID test within 72 hours
Hope you like third wheel, Martha
of
May.
leaving to go to Hawaii.
When did that start? Because
I have no idea. That's just what I heard.
So back to your COVID test at the resort. Did
Mm-hmm.
you had it done there? Was that just a rapid one, or was that done?
Yep, it was. They had.
Was it the Chinese anal swab one?
We talked about that.
Unfortunately, no, it was not. Or fortunately, no, it was not.
Unfortunately. Oh,
No.
boy.
No, we didn't keister
Bloopers.
anything back. They had
Our
it-
producer's over there, and she has
Edit,
to
edit,
turn.
edit, edit.
She has to turn away. She's laughing so hard. She doesn't want to be.
Although some people wanted that done for their own
No.
personal benefit,
Cameras
we did
and
not.
Bottoms up.
The microphones and stuff, and she's losing her crap over there. We laughing so hard.
Bottoms up.
That was smart marketing by some of the resorts and it wasn't all of them. Of when you come here, we will pay for your COVID test on site, and we had it back that night. And we were at a bigger resort, and they had buildings where if somebody came down with it, the resort would put you up in that building, and they would cover your quarantine time until you were safe to go back home. And they had nurses that were there doing the tests, and I mean they were very organized about it. Here's the time you come in, and they went way above and beyond. But for us, that's why we chose that resort. So it was very smart for them. And we asked, "Have you had a lot of people with COVID?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to lie, we have had people, not many, but." They're being very proactive, because if they have an outbreak at their resort, they're done. Nobody will go to that
Right.
resort.
Well, the reason I was
So-
asking that is we had some friends go to Aruba, and they were able to accept a rapid test, so they didn't do. We had friends that just went to Hawaii, and they needed to have.
Yeah, Hawaii.
It
I was
seems-
told that's
Hawaii's
not a rapid
extremely
test.
strict.
It's,
No.
Yeah, you have
And
to have the
3-day
real deal. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I was intrigued as for coming back again. They in Aruba, they were perfectly fine doing the rapid test, and they actually, I want to say they did it at the airport. Even it was kind of crazy.
Oh yeah,
you could do it at the airport.
They do them at the airport.
Okay, so you could do it at the
Seen
airport, or
'em.
else you could do it. It was included in there, but then you had took 2 extra days or something. But
You need to do your homework. You need to
So you're
find
saying
out.
I can't go to Hawaii then this year? That's what you're saying?
Well,
Do your homework and
do
find
your-
out
like,
what
yeah.
is acceptable and not.
Okay.
Because some places wouldn't accept Mayo Clinic's tests.
okay,
Oh, wow.
Where luckily my wife is in the biz, and she likes to do her homework on the stuff, and flying out of the country we were okay with a Mayo test, and we did it 2 or 3 days before we left.
Do you want to say where you went? Like, let's give credit where credit
we
deserves.
went
The
to
staff
the-
sounds amazing.
We went to the Grand Palladium in Jamaica.
Jamaica. I mean, in
Just
case
west of
anybody
Hawaii.
has
Gonna be
any
crazy.
future vacation plans.
Well, maybe go there. I'll go there instead of Hawaii. then.
We're going to take our podcast there.
I
Yeah,
think that would
let's
be a
figure
great
it out.
idea.
That
But
would be
On the
awesome.
road.
we would have to
with
do it
biscuits.
early in the morning. Just self-preservation of a clean show.
Not too early.
No, not too early. And not the first or second day. Those are throwaway days.
Did you have good weather? Did you have great weather?
we had great weather. It was
I
windy.
gotta say, your pictures
but-
looked amazing. So
I want to go to Jamaica because that's where the first Bond film was was done.
I didn't know
Dr.
that.
No,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
It was,
A lot of filming in Jamaica.
It was our second trip there, and
GoldenEye.
you have the stigma of everybody goes to Jamaica to get high and whatever, and it's just such a beautiful island, and you don't need to smoke because there's so much secondhand.
Oh,
You're gonna get a contact. No,
But it sure
just joking.
helps.
But
It
it is a
helps.
beautiful island, and those people, the locals, are the most heartwarming, genuine people I've ever met. They are just happy that we're there. They're not, whoa, Jamaicans hate Americans. No, they don't.
Can I
They
ask your-
love us coming.
May I ask your opinion? Do you feel that this COVID, this pandemic, with tourism being down, do you feel they went above and beyond because of that, or do you feel that if tourism was high, they still would excel in that area? Like,
We were at a different resort last year, and I feel like the people, their
Pre-COVID?
attitudes pre-COVID, and I don't think that the service changed whatsoever.
Okay.
I
That's
think
good to
they
know.
were more appreciative this year because
right?
even though we went against the better judgment of what our government says, we still went, but we were cautious, and they're like, honestly, thank you.
you
for
mean you
coming
used
here.
common sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. But they were very happy that we were there to support them. And
Good.
I mean, it was self-beneficial. But yeah.
I would love to
If
just-
you're safe
Yeah.
and you're able to do it, make the trip. Life's too short to.
My only thought was
Shoulda,
like,
coulda,
of
woulda.
course, from this, I'm like, well, wow, now I want to know more. I'm like, so how are they surviving? Tourism is down. That's a large. So how are they surviving? Food.
Yep. So
Take care of those children.
we were told that their government, because they don't have Social Security, they don't have that
The
safety
social
net.
structure
Safety
is
net.
not
It's
the same.
completely different.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to a lot of other countries, but driving through, it feels like a third world country. And their government gave them $60 stipends for 3 months.
Oh,
That's
a
it.
wow.
And their average income for tourist workers or resort workers was like $70 to $100 a month.
Wow. Can I just say that? Wow.
So
Like,
$5
oh my goodness.
is huge.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my gosh.
So like when we were leaving, we're like, oh, we have extra cash. Let's
definitely.
spread the love.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
Wow. I'm sitting here imagining we can't even rent a place. We can't, some of us can't pay our electricity bill with that amount of money per month. That is
Really don't.
amazing to me. And they're doing it.
and
They're
they are
surviving.
so happy. And it may have something to do with the ganja, but they are just genuinely happy. But the kids,
There.
That's a
couldn't
whole
be
new
happier.
article.
yeah, that's another episode. Maybe an on-site
I'm
article.
happy to hear you had a good experience.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. Don't be scared to travel. Just be smart about it.
Common
Just do your
sense.
homework and make sure your tests are acceptable. And
Nice.
always be safe.
And tip accordingly. Be good to your people.
accordingly.
You know,
Yeah.
even being down in Florida, like we talk about Minnesota nice, and I just couldn't get over to, I know it's a big hospitality state, but even just being down in Florida there last week and everything, everybody was really, really nice. Really, really nice. And, going back to hospitality.
Because everybody
and
from
things like that.
Minnesota went down to Florida because we can't do anything.
I know. So they love us
Minnesota
all.
Nice was down in Florida.
So they love us all. They love us all.
Maybe we're just all just so thankful to just see people and to
Get out.
socialize and to have kind conversations. I think that we're all just sort of kind of craving
Needing.
that.
So,
craving
but
that.
Yes.
you kind of hit on something. There's a lot of these other pieces to the puzzle that most people, almost no people, think about. The people that work at resorts, the people that work at hotels, the people that are, even the flight attendants and pilots. There's a lot of them that had to take early retirements, or even these
Or the
what would
farms
not be
supporting the
considered
restaurants and the
entrance
resorts and-
type level positions.
Trickle-down
These
effect.
Absolutely.
absolutely top-notch pilots or early retirements, all these things, and maybe that's good for them. I don't know. But the point being is that there's just so many things that are affected, and when I see these hardcore lockdowns in places like California, I've been there. The tent cities are getting bigger. I've seen. There's tents in Kansas City, and there's tents in Denver, and it's all over the place. It is not good. There are people, millions of people out of work still, millions and millions of them. And so just like this little teeny tiny podcast, the producer has over a dozen buttons and levers to push and twist and turn and try to keep the mics as best they can and the cameras and all those things. Nobody understands and sees that, right? That's happening. Just imagine at the scale when you take that into the real world. You know, there's a lot of things that are going on that you don't think about that affects so many people in such hard ways. So yes, even in the United States, tip people.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, all of it.
Yes.
Be
We
nice.
have got to do our part when and where we can. And that includes turning bright camera lights on
Yes.
and talking about some of the things that aren't being talked about from working class people. I have
The
been,
normal people. We're the
there's-
normal people.
There has
I've
been
never been
I'm not
considered
gonna go
I
there.
beg to differ from our
I named y'all the misfits. There's a reason.
I want to know.
Normal misfit.
But the point is I get messages. Most of them are good, but I get really critical messages. Some of them are public. One of them I'm going to say that was public this last week is a gentleman on social media told us to stop flapping our jaws and get real jobs.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
Let's
so
have him
that was
come on the
public.
show.
Yeah.
I don't say the ones that are sent to me directly to pretty nearly anybody, but you know, there's some negative ones. But the thing that I'll say is I will communicate with anybody who wants to communicate with me. Period. If they want to call me, I've taken calls. I mean, all kinds of things. That's what it's about. It's about talking. It's about figuring out. Tell me more. Help me understand.
Yeah.
It's so important. But we're here as volunteers.
I think it would be really great if we all went around the room and said what our real jobs are. Because I think a lot
I'm
of
not
people
going to
don't.
do that because I'm working on some things.
Okay.
I talked about that with all of you. I'm working on trying to do some big thing that is related to my distracted driving work. So I'm not going to say what I do.
Oh, got you. I just thought it
Remember
would be
that?
important.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Some people tune into this and they think this is
I'll
what
say
we
general. Yeah, I'll say general. I mean, but yeah.
do. Yeah, I just kind of mean like, hey, we do have lives outside of this, and
do.
we all have very important roles, whether it's professional or.
But you've taken this very seriously. Like each of you have.
We're doing our homework with it. It's not just, we don't just show up and Matt watered today's subjects. We're
I don't pick
investigating
the
this stuff.
subjects. We, in full disclosure, we each pick one subject.
Right.
Normally, we don't say which one it is that we've picked. Sometimes we do. That's okay. Either way, it doesn't matter. But the point is that this is relevant to people. The people that are sitting here. There's some very loyal listeners, and we thank you for that very much. But this is as real as it gets. We all work very hard. There's a lot to it.
It's a passion from the heart. It really is. I think just because for myself, this is getting our information and our side of the story and kind of breaking things apart for how the news has written things and picking things, but then putting our personal interest into it as well.
And I got some pretty massive pushback that we all think alike and we all agree so often and things like that. And I think the difference
so.
is that we disagree respectfully, and I think that's the difference to me. That's what I see, because I don't see that
No, and I think it's
that
kind of
we're-
refreshing that people
that we're all thinking the same.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that people don't see that. It's a beautiful thing that we can be such different people and have such different backgrounds, but we can have really good conversation and be respectful of each other and actually be interested in each other's perspectives. And I think that's what this is all about. We are speaking our opinions, our perspectives, but we're also resonating with others out there. And we know that. We are, as we had stated before, get comfortable with things being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We are okay about that because we're speaking our perspectives, our opinions, our minds, but we're also speaking for others as well. Not necessarily, don't get me wrong, but some others can't express their opinion or this or that. And I don't know. I'm also a little different bird. I also sort of think outside of the box in the way of like what's not being said. What is behind those words that are being said. I'm all about tone, body language, facial expressions. I take it all into consideration. This podcast has allowed all of us to be able to do so, and and express our opinions and our feels.
There's literally 3 significantly different political views sitting at the table right now out of 5 people. I don't know if y'all even realize that.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the point of that. It doesn't matter. However, I've been accused by many people of that. Oh, y'all, you're all right wing, I mean, I've had many of those things, and so, whatever. But the point is that I think we try to do things respectfully. Harmony, you and I have probably had the most communication, out of everybody off the podcast. Mm-hmm. We had some words that were very different.
Everybody's all like, "What you
remember?
did? You had words?
You remember that?
Was that when I was
covered up
drinking?
Mount.
No. the mock podcast.
Oh yes, and some of
this
it's still
is quite a
blur,
while
but
ago
yeah,
now,
some of
but-
it's still a blur. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I've always been fascinated and love about you, Matt, is that you challenge people. You definitely, you're not going to just be like, okay, say what you want to say or this. You're like, you question people and you expect them to back up what they say. And as intimidating as that can be, I mean, it's important, and I love that about you.
Well, thank you. That's not what I was looking for. But
Okay.
The point is that, and Lisa, you and I have personally had some
Yep. I find it
Hardcore.
annoying. No, I'm just kidding.
exactly hardcore.
Yeah, here you
pushback.
are.
Here I am.
Yeah.
and things, but we can sit down and we can. I mean, I'm drinking water, but we can sit
drinking
down
water.
and have a drink and a meal and stuff, and
think
it's
there's water
good,
in here.
And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to say some of that stuff because I want people to be critical.
In this
I
day
want
and
them to
age,
be accurate.
in
Yeah.
this day and age where we've seen in the last year a lot of, firsthand for me, a lot of burning and looting
Jackie
and
doing over
rioting.
there?
She's licking furiously.
She's like, yeah, she's making all kinds of noise, Jackie.
Where we've
Jackie,
seen
stop. She's
people
like-
with their opinions, burn and loot and riot and destroy things because they didn't agree with a decision or an outcome. They weren't respectful with that compared to the contrast with us of having, hey, why do you think that way? Or, hey, I respect your opinion about that, but that's your opinion, not my opinion. So where I've seen things firsthand where, people have destroyed property and destroyed things because they didn't agree and they weren't respectful for that.
That's how we became a country. Anybody ever push back on you on that one? We became a country by war. Very bad war. The revolution.
Okay.
But here's the difference.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. 20 years they tried to work with the British. 20 years before that happened. 20 years of communicating back and forth and saying, this isn't working. And then they said, this is what we have to do.
So push came to shove.
Push came to shove, but there was a lot of communication and a lot of promises that weren't kept. So we became a nation because of war, because of pushback, because of violence. But there was a lot of effort put out there beforehand.
They
for a
exhausted
very long
other
time.
efforts prior
All
to
of
that.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just the point.
And I think we as in general people pigeonhole other people, and once you're under this title, well, then they stop listening to you. And I mean, my personal experience with the campaign last year was people said, "Oh, you're a Trumper." I'm like, no, I'm not. My opinion, we didn't have a good candidate on the ballot last year for president. I don't think either of them were the saving grace for our country. But if enough, it's that cancel culture. If a group of people says, well, you fit into this pigeonhole because we think this is what you believe, and then you're canceled. And I think this group, we are open to, like has been said, we're open to listening to each other. And I've heard opinions where I'm like, I never thought about it that way. But it's refreshing. And I don't know. I'm appreciative that we're able to speak freely and that we're all
Amen.
listening to each other.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
the big thing too. We're not asking anybody to follow, or
Yeah.
like you got to do it my way.
We're asking them to hammer the like button.
Yes,
Hammer the
we
share
are
button.
asking that. We are
That
asking
is.
that. But I mean, maybe one thing we say changes somebody's life. Maybe going back to the stories that we talked about whoever coming out because they were gay or not. Maybe somebody was watching or somebody's daughter was watching and said, I'm going to be okay because of that. So maybe we're making some people mad. Maybe we're not, but maybe we're changing lives. And if it's one person's life, that's worth changing.
For sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. I have been offered significant opportunity, I'll word it, in the area of distracted driving if I did it their way. And I said bye-bye each time. Because it's, in my opinion, not the right way. And it's propaganda, and it's going one direction, and it's hateful, and it's shaming, and some of those other things. And that's exactly the point, is like more people, I think, need to understand that it is about whether you agree or disagree. Mm-hmm. It's about having that conversation for maybe 20 years. Mm-hmm. But it's also about like Andrew Cuomo and not being hypocritical. Stand for a principle. And I think that's what each of us at this table that we do. Our principles, our values are something.
Integrity.
It's something that we stand on, and that's something that doesn't deviate. But we'll listen, and maybe those values will be added to. Maybe those principles will be like, yeah, like you said, Craig, yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to,
Tell me your reasoning and pitch me on why I should think differently.
Yes.
I'll listen. And there's been many circumstances where it's like, I didn't think about it that way, but
Yeah.
you're right. In my opinion, I've changed my opinion by listening to the people. So
Anyway, we just want to be real.
Yep.
it's
We're
like a
speaking
big group
our
hug.
truth, and I think it's interesting that people have even issues with that phrase, speaking your truth. What's your truth? It's like we're being real here. It doesn't get any more than that. And we know we're being real because we're getting criticism.
Yes.
And that's how you know you're being real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
people are
Did
fighting
you see
back.
the post today?
I didn't.
Was it today? Does anybody remember that Aristotle quote? That was today. There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing.
Yes.
These quotes are really important to me because this is something that I'll just leave it at that. It's important to me to get that really good, solid foundation going in my day. And however, I am happy to say that my production team puts those together, all of them, and I don't even do them. I might approve one or two, or I might come across something, I really like this, and send it, but they're scheduled out a month in advance or more, and so it's really interesting the timing on some of these sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
They are good.
wow, it's just powerful stuff. Harmony, what do you do?
In my free time?
No. You wanted to talk about what we do.
Oh, what do we do when we're not in front of the camera? So I work for Cardinal in Minnesota. I take care of individuals with behavioral disabilities. And I like to state that because it just, disabilities in general are, an amazing thing. But behavioral disabilities takes a different spin on it. It's the psychological part of it. I love what I do. It's different every day. And I'm very proud of the company I work for and the clients that I take care of. And I've been doing it for a while now. So I love my job. That's my background. And when I'm not doing that, I'm sharing memes. I'm on Facebook and I'm making people laugh. I like to call myself, which is weird because I'm very much avoidant of labels. But if I had to give myself a label, I'd be a heart and soul influencer. I'm all about making this world a little bit better every day as I heal myself.
Nice. Lisa, you've already talked about what you do, so you're out. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Go for it.
I'm owner of Salt and Pepper Photography in Rochester, celebrating 31 years this year.
Nice.
I'm blessed. I have a job that I absolutely love. last year was definitely hard, not capturing all those moments and everything, but we're back and we're going to be great. And it's kind of funny you should say that, Heart and Soul, because I am a chamber member and we have individual teams, and that is our team name is a Heart and Soul.
love it.
I am
Oh,
on
wow.
that team, so it's kind of gave me goosebumps there, girl. But I love making people happy, just paying it forward. You know, this is stuff we learned in kindergarten. Just be a good human and it'll come back. Pay it forward.
Nice. Craig.
I am a community volunteer. Typically, my volunteer work's geared towards veterans and their families of deployed. And my side gig is I'm a realtor. And it's a fulfilling job. It's fun to be able to help people. And I absolutely love it. So, yeah.
I am in retail, and I have done floral or some kind of work in floral or event promotions for the last, since 1989. It's something that I think you're either born with or not, to be creative, different things like that. I'm also a new grandma, not a new grandma, but another new granddaughter. Anyway, she has a name. She came home from the hospital without a name, and now she has a name that goes with Martha May and McKinley May and Kaya Kay. So, anyways, I'm kind of excited. It's my 8th grandchild, so
Excellent.
I'm a proud
Congratulations.
grandma. So, it goes with being. I call myself a loud, proud patriot. Anything patriot or Back the Blue, anything like that. I love to be involved with too. So anyways, but here we are. We all have our voice. We all have our passion. Passion's very important with whatever we do. So
Excellent. And I just work hard
With great hair.
and with great hair. Yes. Let's talk about this show being as it is and as small as it is, and it's a passion. We do have costs, obviously, and I'm not asking for your money, those of you who are watching or listening. But what it does do, it really helps if you watch this next video about hammering the like button and the share button. If you really like it, I know it's hard to speak up, and we do kind of talk about things that are uncomfortable sometimes, but if there's something that you do like, we try to break these up into segments as well. But when you share it, when you comment on it, when you like it, it actually makes a really dramatic difference in the algorithms, and it helps show it to other people, and that's what'll help it grow, and that's what'll help keep it on the air. So we do appreciate that kind of stuff. So hey, watch the video. See you next time.
Hey, a lot of people have asked how they can support the work we're doing here at Matt Logan Speaks. Well, you see this hammer that I got in my hand? It's pretty big. All you have to do is hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bell so that when we have new content up, you're the first to know about it. We really appreciate the comments, shares, likes, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us, because the algorithms on all these fancy computers, that's what they need. We appreciate it.